Question everything, trust nothing. Guys, welcome back for another episode of Debate Crypto here on Magic Money Monday with the one, the only, Bill Noble. What's going on, man? How you doing?
Hey, man, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Dude, it's always great to have you on the channel, bro. We're talking a bunch of crazy stuff in the background. I'm super excited for today. Today, we're going to be covering a few other altcoins, but some of the main ones we're going to be covering here are definitely going to be ApeCoin, the Graph, and one that a lot of people have been talking about is Render. So make sure you stay tuned for that, guys. Make sure you get excited. Start smashing those likes. Share out the live with your buddies if they're not in here just yet. But yeah, Bill. So what's going on with the markets, man? I mean, we had that kind of rally going on last week. We're kind of moving up. Now we're kind of going sideways. We're dwindling between 23 and 22 for Bitcoin. What do you think is going on right now?
Two things. The first thing is denial. People still don't get what's really happening here, that the crypto universe and what they used to call Web3 is about to wake up with a vengeance. Now, the other thing that people are not focused on, they're so focused on fear, they're not focused on what to do if there's a dip. So if you have, this is a prepper-oriented channel. And of course, there have been a lot of events in the world that would suggest preparation is optimal. Get as prepared as you can, especially for a dip, because this whole idea that crypto is dead, crypto can't go up, and then my favorite falsehood that the metaverse is dead. We'll talk about this on the show. Metaverse is not dead, people. Not at all. All right. So there's a big picture case and a small picture case for crypto.
Dude, 100% agree with you. I think Metaverse is going to come back with a vengeance. I mean, Mana, right? It's been around since like 2018. Last cycle, they thought the same thing. Hey, this coin's dead. It's not going to come back. And it ripped, right? I think as this technology advances and we see more augmented reality, we see more mixed reality, we see more virtual reality technology coming out, especially for the blockchain, these coins are going to continue ripping. Obviously, some are going to fade out in time, but I think there will definitely be some winners, and that sector in the crypto space in general is super bullish, and that's one of the reasons why we're covering ApeCoin, right? They're creating their own metaverse. They're doing a bunch of things over there at Yuga Labs. So 100%, I think Metaverse has a massive amount of potential for this next cycle. So I want to quickly show my chart here for Bitcoin, show you what I'm seeing with Bitcoin, and then we can go in. You can tell me your thoughts, and then we can jump into these other altcoins. So for Bitcoin here, right, quickly on the dailies, you guys can see I've talked about this regression trend that we've been in since 2021 in October. We broke out of that a few months ago, back in December, right? I've been nothing but ripping like a vengeance from there. We have a bit massive double bottom here on this daily, but closer up, right? Closer up here, as you can see, we've kind of lost a little bit of gas here. The MACD is on the way down, but we have this EQ cloud on Lux Algo that is still expanding. The trend catcher is still very bullish for Bitcoin here on the daily, and as you can see, these upper and lower bands are still kind of an expansion phase going on right now. So even though there's a take profit signal back here on the 21st of January, I think that this is just sideways consolidation before we possibly have another rip here. I think 22,000 or 23,000 right here is holding up pretty good as support, and we've been ranging in this little area for quite a bit of time. Bitcoin likes to range a lot, and then we're gonna have some moves here. I think there is some extra space for another leg up before we even start to come back down. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm talking to my girlfriend last night. She looks at her phone. She goes, "Oh, Bitcoin dropped to 22. Goody." Right. My girlfriend and her family are one of many people out there, from small to large institutions, who are looking to buy, right? 22 or 21 is good news. And I think that you got to be ready in the event that you get some sort of flush, because like you said, it's going sideways, and then you're going to wake up one day and it's going to be gone. Right.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I think people are become very used to the bear market. We're like, okay, we're just going to keep going down. We're just going to keep going down. And they're, like you said before, in this disbelief stage where, oh, this is not going to be sustainable. This is not going to be sustainable. This is not going to be sustainable. It's only a matter of time before we come back down. But that is how the beginning of the bull markets are. Like, you stay in this disbelief for a long time until you see these massive rips. And yeah, maybe we come back down later, right, for a short period of time to retest some levels before we go back up again. But you don't want to be waiting for that retest back. In the case of, you might miss it, right? They're going to be a lot shorter time frames. It might only be 1 or 2 days. And if you're lucky, you catch them. But most people that are not traders, that are not looking at charts every single day, they're most likely going to miss that, and they're just going to end up buying even higher. Obviously, never any financial advice, just something for you guys to be mentally aware of what is happening here in the shift that we are experiencing right now.
Yeah, it's an excellent point you made earlier. One of the hallmarks of bear markets is boredom. Like, you'll get a big move and then maybe you get a reversal up and then you just sit there. Now, as you transition to a bull market, I'm trying to get people into a mindset where they're not asleep at the wheel. Don't sleep on this market. You get some big downdraft, it may happen while you're asleep. Right? So you want to be there for that and don't get caught. The bear trap, the trap is to fall asleep and not pay attention.
Dude, 100%, right? That is the biggest trap, is people missing out the beginning of these cycles when you have massive potential, and you're pretty much missing the bottom, which is hard to catch in the first place. But you want to catch it as soon as possible before we have some massive run-ups. So let's start taking a look, if you're ready, at ApeCoin and see what's going on over there with Yuga Labs and Ape. Are people aping in, or are they aping out?
Okay, good question. So let's try the big picture, right? The pre-Celsius top, crypto loves doing this, right? They'll always do something excessive right before a crash. The excessive thing that happened before Celsius was an ApeCoin moon on the purchase of their Metaverse real estate. And then, of course, ApeCoin, like everything else, basically went straight down. Everybody gave up on it at $2, and now it's sitting here at $5. So if you look at it this way, you'll go, oh, well, gee, I can't buy this because there's been this huge rally. But then when you just look at it the way I had it, this is the bigger the base, the higher in the space, right?
I like
That means
I like that.
when you go sideways, when you drop and go sideways for a long time, when it finally goes back up, the longer it sits down here, the more violent it is the other way, right? Now, like one example of that is probably the graph, right? We were talking about this earlier. We can go into more detail, right? But when you look at this, the graph has done nothing. How long has this done nothing? Like forever. And now it's up only. Now we can talk about that in a second as to why it's up only, but the graph, Render, and ApeCoin all have something in common, right? Don't go anywhere. Make sure you hit the like button for my buddies Keep and Crusader.
Let's go.
They all got something in common, right? The graph, people gave up on it, right? Multicoin Capital didn't, though. Multicoin Capital is a huge crypto hedge fund in Austin, Texas. They got caught long too much Solana. Ouch. They were long Solana at 30 cents, rode it all the way up and all the way back down again. But they are big players in metaverse infrastructure. Okay. When they talk about infrastructure, they're talking about data oracles and stuff that's really not that exciting. Well, guess what? This thing took out the start of the give up trade, right? The give up trade was in November. And I was talking about, in Elliott wave terms, it's called the previous fourth, right? It's the start of the final leg down. Well, this is a classic case of when you take that out, it's gone, right? Now, normally some of these coins are slower than others, but this one just exploded. And this is a big multi-coin capital holding. So if this really is the bigger the base, the higher in the space, I've seen this across the network, across crypto, right? In other words, like, oh my God, I missed it. Did you? Right? So the question is, how do you manage your head? It's not just how do you manage your book, how do you manage your head? Now, speaking of your head, somebody was talking about XRP, right? XRP is doing something similar, right? There are buyers of XRP on a DeMark point around 40 cents. People want XRP at 40 cents. Now, again, if you look at this, you take out this moving average envelope, XRP did nothing but go down. And now it just sits here. This is almost the exact same type of thing you saw back in late 2020, right? These very sideways, choppy bases. So there is absolutely no reason to believe, if the graph can do it, if render can do it, we'll go into that in a minute, right? So Debate Crypto is asking, bullish on the graph? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, folks, has it paid to get in front of anything in this market?
100%. Always.
Right.
It always pays out to, do some research, be vigilant on these different categories in the crypto space, and, be DCing into them slowly, because like the metaverse, right? What happened to the metaverse towards the end of the second top of last cycle, right? Out of nowhere, Facebook changed their name to Meta, and all the metaverse coins ripped massively as we were already approaching a massive top for Bitcoin a second time. So
That's
people
right.
that were paying attention to the metaverse, they made tons of money on that.
Right. And a lot, like you said earlier, a lot of that stuff sat dormant, right?
Yep,
So
for a long time.
For a long time, right? Now, render, okay, you might say, well, render can't go higher. Well, guess what? Render's up a lot today. Render can go higher. Render can go to 328. And you got to remember, the high in this stuff was like $7 over here. The previous fourth wave, the resistance is all the way up here. Now, one thing in these momentum coins like Optimism, like this looks toppy because it shoots up and then comes back down. But a lot of times, folks, that is the dip. I'm not really advocating buying anything up 20%, right? In other words, if it's up 20%, you wait a couple days. But what happens is like render will be up 20%. Render is probably going higher. So is ApeCoin. Again, it's not investment advice, but render is a huge holding of multicoin. Now, again, just remember what render is. It's metaverse infrastructure, right? In other words, everyone's like, oh, well, AI. Yeah, okay. The AI play, who are you going to be interacting with in the metaverse?
Exactly, right. And they do more than just the metaverse too. They're talking about, GPU rental and all these different things, which is massive. It's an ERC20 token built on Ethereum. I mean, there's been a lot of talk about render. Yes, like you mentioned, right, it has had a massive run, but so has everything in this last month and a half. Everything has had a massive run. So it's only a matter of time of being vigilant, staying, close up to date with what's happening in this massive shift. And like you said, it's up 20%. Not financial advice. Don't go buy it today, but keep an eye on it, because at some point a dip will happen, and this is probably something that you want to be paying attention to.
That's right. So, I mean, today would be a day to move from render, with resistance at $2.06, into say Optimism that is back in its range trading mode. Like that's what Optimism does. It ranges and then moves up. And then of course, if you're confused, some people are. Some people are like, I don't know what to do. Is this a sucker's rally? Look, here's Bitcoin. This is monthly. So this thing has done nothing but go down. And these oscillators, like whether you look at a stochastic and RSI, you can read the definitions in a book. There's overbought and oversold. That's the language people use. Bitcoin on a monthly basis is deeply oversold, and momentum is turning the other way. And when you have a monthly reading like this, just like when you were overbought, right? Just like over here, when it was like, oh yeah, it's going up forever. It's going to 100K. No, it didn't. It came all the way back down. So if you can get overbought and Bitcoin can collapse, you can get oversold and Bitcoin can smoke to the upside. So if you didn't get Optimism or render, okay, maybe you can get Ape. because I still think that this is going to be massive, right? It's not going to be just about the Bored Ape, the status of the Bored Ape Yacht Club. It's got to go beyond this, and somebody is going to win in the metaverse. And a lot of these tech companies, when they get done, they're all chasing Chat GPT, and when that's all chased out, they're going to go after the metaverse next. In other words, Zuckerberg is not as dumb as people think.
Oh, for sure. He hasn't built an empire the way he has by being dumb. That guy is very intentional on everything he does. Obviously his company isn't where you would probably want it to be, but it's so well connected, it's so powerful, and it has so many resources that there's no way that they can't pivot and head the right direction with the technology and resources they have. I mean, ApeCoin, like you were saying, right, can definitely go way beyond just the NFTs of the Bored Apes. And they just released that game, the little game that was going on. Everybody in that community was going crazy. A bunch of things were happening. So there is absolutely no reason not to think that ApeCoin is going to continue moving. When the next cycle comes back up and we see the next run up, they're going to be one of the main innovators in the space when it comes to NFTs, Web3, staking, and their Metaverse coin. So Ape is definitely one thing that I would definitely be bullish on long term. Obviously, like I said before, it's never financial advice. We just wanted to bring you some different coins today that are definitely moving in the background and you might not be paying attention to. A lot of people get caught up in the top 10 coins only, and they only watch that. But the ones that have massive run-ups, have a higher risk, but they're definitely something worth looking at if you're trying to, definitely make a nice move in this next cycle. So what are we looking at now? Dot?
Yeah, we have Polkadot, right? So Polkadot's been making a series of new highs, and momentum indicators have not confirmed that. So that's not constructive for upside right this second. You've got 2 down days so far in Polkadot. If you look at this whole trend, you really haven't had more than like 3 out of 4 down days. That's why I'm looking for just like a flush. Now, the longer Polkadot can stay up here and defy this pattern, the better. But if you took it at face value, you might get a washout, right? You might get your shot at grabbing this stuff. I mean, it's so easy to buy when it's at the top, right? When it's like green, it feels so good. You got to buy when it feels bad. And this interoperability trade is another thing that people have just like, everyone blow this off. We were on the show talking about this. Remember Cardano, right? Cardano's got the stable coin coming out. There's a catalyst now in Cardano. So, not trying to give you a headache, but, there's news and render. Graph is moving. These are holding of big hedge funds who want to do metaverse infrastructure. The other infrastructure play, interoperability, right? Interoperability and Polkadot.
Rob Father says BitBoy might have killed Dot today. I wonder what he said. Does anybody in the chat knows what BitBoy said about Dot today? Drop it in the chat.
Okay. So I can pull Polkadot up here. Put some DeMark work on this so we can check it out. Okay, so the thing that's interesting, if you look at the DeMark work, the top in Polkadot was on the 23rd. And if there was a day to buy it, in theory, today might be the day to take the shot, especially if there's a negative nude out there, right? So he said that there's like a behavioral issue, I think, with the founder of Polkadot, right? Somebody also in the chat said, yikes. So maybe we'll come off that topic. Okay. People have been hearing about HBAR. Okay.
Lots of people are super bullish on HBAR. One of those ISO 20 coins that people just really, really like. What do they call themselves? The H barbarians or something? I don't know what they call themselves.
I mean, tribalism in crypto is unbelievable, right?
It's so wild.
It's like all you need is a meme and a dream. Remember the Link Marines? I mean, it was like, it was meme based.
Yep.
The thing is, this hasn't taken out resistance yet. But again, when you have down only and then a range, and then if you start to get momentum, if you have momentum, doubt, and then a catalyst, I mean, does anybody think this can go back to 20 cents?
I want to know why people are so bullish on HBAR. Like, what is HBAR doing that people are so bullish about? Because I feel, right, these are just how I feel. I haven't been keeping up to date with HBAR in a while. They're falling into the same camp as like the XRP army. Like, if you like XRP, you probably like HBAR a lot, and then it's like that cult mentality of like,
That's right.
it's this is it. This is one of the chosen ones. It's gonna do all this crazy stuff, but what are they really doing? I know they released NFTs recently. They have NFTs on their network now, but outside of that, I know they were doing other stuff that I wasn't a fan of a while ago, was supply chain stuff. But I wonder what they're doing right now that people are so bullish on them. Anybody in the chat knows that is a huge HBAR fan, drop it in the chat.
Okay, here's another thing that I'm looking at. I'm looking at the market cap chart. Sometimes, you just kind of want to eyeball it, right? Like ApeCoin is about the same size as Stellar. Stellar doesn't have a whole lot going on at the moment. ApeCoin's got a lot of room to move up the market cap chart. I mean, ApeCoin is 7 places below Ethereum Classic. Okay. Avalanche is just a little bit bigger than Tron and smaller than Litecoin. Avalanche has got a partnership with Amazon. I mean, Web3 is still really underpriced, and Avalanche is priced below Solana. I mean, again, sometimes you can do stuff by just by eyeballing. Now, I know these market cap figures can change and be different. If you look at Litecoin has been up only, and that's good news for a couple of reasons. One, during the bear market, right, when Litecoin would be up, everything else would get smacked. Litecoin, Zcash, and maybe Doge would go up. Everyone would be like, oh, wow, this is awesome. And then, boom, they would drop the market. The fact that Litecoin has actually been able to go up, take out resistance around 91 and hold. I mean, Litecoin could go to 121. And even if it does dip down to 91, I mean, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 up weeks in Litecoin. It's actually been going up since December, and it's really been on an uptrend since October. What's the point? If Litecoin can do it, right? If Litecoin can do it, there may be a halving or some sort of fundamental event. All the stuff below Litecoin, Avalanche, Cosmos was up a lot, but it's still below Litecoin, still below Solana. Wrapped Bitcoin has low market cap. Nobody interested in trading Bitcoin on the Ethereum network. Interesting. Privacy. Has anyone talked about privacy?
Nope, right? Not anymore.
Greg Abbott, we were talking before, the governor of Texas coming after TikTok, right? Everybody's worried about the Chinese in your phone. Let me just tell you something. First of all, if the Chinese want to get into your phone, they don't need TikTok.
Yep.
Just saying, right? They don't need TikTok. Second of all, if the Chinese are doing bad things, or any enemy of the West, let's call it that, like let's do West East, right? Communist capitalist. I mean, people who disagree with the policies of the United States, or they have a different view of whether or not people should have certain freedoms. Okay. They're already doing a lot of bad stuff. Like everyone's like, oh my God, there's a balloon over Montana. Dude, they're doing a lot worse stuff than that.
Yeah, and that's not the first balloon, right? Like this is just the first balloon that they blow out of proportions. But it's definitely been there. There's been other balloons that have come through different administrations. This is not a new event. This is not the first time ever that something like that happens. Just people just get caught up in a small moment.
Right. And when governments start acting weird, which is kind of like where I'm going, maybe privacy is something to look at, because again, Monero has been on an uptrend since November. Right. The privacy narrative, like Metaverse, like for example, how are you going to do a transaction in the Metaverse? Or how are you going to do a transaction in an AI world where people can immediately link a transaction to see what's in your wallet? I mean, don't you need privacy in the Metaverse just as a normal function?
Yeah, dude, I think that's one thing that in the entire crypto space, like we are all about transparency, right? We want things to be transparent, but there also needs to be a level of privacy to that, right? You don't want people seeing how much money is in your bank, is in your wallet, right? Not your bank account, but in your wallet. You don't want that. So why is it okay? You don't want that in traditional finance, people to just see how much money you have in your bank account. Why is it okay that in crypto, yeah, we can see how much money is in there? It's like, why would you want that? Why would you want people to see all the NFTs or whatever it is that you're doing in your wallet publicly? If there's I think that there should be an option for, if you want to make it public, you can, right? Kind of like how social media can make a profile public, or you can make it private where nobody can see this except for either accepted people, like, your people that are in your circle, your friends, whatever it is, your business partners. But outside of that, you can opt into privacy. And that's one thing that in the entire crypto space has been very always in the back burner. Privacy has always been like this, I don't know, like this like ugly ant that you don't want to invite to the party, right? You're like, let's not really talk about privacy. Let's not really go there. Let's stay transparent. Let's stay, and it's like, I understand figureheads, right? We understand companies. These people need to be held to transparency, but the individual person, the individual citizen doesn't and should not be held to transparency. They should be able to have privacy and not feel like they're doing something dirty, like they're doing something wrong, that they're doing something illegal. Well, I'm not doing anything bad, so it's okay for me to, I'm okay with them seeing everything. It's okay that you feel that way, but you should have the option to be private if you want to, not because you're doing anything wrong, because it's a right to have privacy and for people not to know absolutely everything about you at all times.
Right. I mean, the privacy narrative, and that's the key when you're thinking about markets, particularly if you're transitioning to a bull market, right? Not every sector rallies at once, right? First, it was Bitcoin. Actually, first it was Litecoin and Monero. Then it was Bitcoin and Ethereum. Then it was Optimism, APTOS, and, FXS, right? Now you're starting to get Graph and Render, right? One sector at a time, one narrative at a time, right? So you want to talk about what everybody's not talking about. If everyone's talking about a balloon over Montana, you want to talk about the Metaverse, right? You want to find the hidden conversation and have that conversation and develop a plan around that.
Exactly. There's a good comment here by Hazley. Says government wallets should be viewable budget spending on blockchain open source to the constants, 100%. And then we have John Connor here saying XRPL open, XRPL2 private. Is there going to be a XRPL, like an XRP 2.0, like private, and XRPL private? Let me know in the chat. I want to hear more about that XRPL 2.
Right. So, XRP may bring itself back as a layer one day. Now, in terms of privacy layer ones, the secret network, it's like a layer one. They released an NFT at Consensus, a full-length NFT movie. And this has done nothing. Yeah. So basically you can buy NFTs on secret network, as I understand it. And,
we actually interviewed some people from the secret network at Decentral back in November, and I don't think we ever released that footage. I'm gonna have to dig through our archives of filmed footage and try to see if I can release it, see if I can put it together and edit it and put it out there. But they were definitely talking about some interesting things happening on the secret network. I think they even have privacy coming up for their NFTs. Like they have a lot of private things happening over there, and the accessibility to the average person to be using privacy without it being legal, because they're also very compliant to a lot of the stringent things. So they're very different from all the other privacy coins, where like the other ones are not really working with any government figures or government agencies or whatever. Secret is working with a lot of people to make sure that they're very compliant, they're not doing anything wrong. So I gotta look back at that.
Yeah, I mean, privacy. We always talk about this behind the scenes, right? Privacy and preppers, right? Traditionally, these guys, they're all pirates, right? Like, oh, you guys are preppers, or oh, you guys are into privacy. You must be blank, whatever it is. Now, in this world, privacy, common sense, prepping, common sense, right? Can you ever be too ready? You don't want to be scared. You want to be prepared, as one group I talked to says. Like, for example, like you look at gold, this is PAX, right? PAX Weekly, they absolutely spanked this thing last week. It's just like what I'm talking about in crypto. You got kind of a head and shoulders bottom here in PAX. The target could be 1970, and they did you the favor of dipping it to 1850. And if you look at this on like a 4-hour chart,
and that reflects the actual price of gold, right?
That's right. Yes, PAX is the crypto that follows the price of gold. Right? You could actually, I understand it's redeemable for physical gold.
Oh, really? I was literally about to just ask you that. Like, could you actually redeem in, or is it just a derivative?
So my day job is I work for a company called Gold Retriever that has a coin which I own, GLDN, that actually pays you an auto staking reward in PAX rather than GLDN. They pay you in PAX because PAX can be theoretically redeemed for physical. The lesson of PAX is that...
Quick question, though, about that.
Yes, go ahead.
Is that a taxable event, redeeming, let's say, PAX for physical gold, and then you just cash in your physical gold? I would think not, right? Because you're not really cashing out. You still have your gold. I would think that when you sell your gold for actual fiat, then it would be taxable, or am I wrong?
Well, the way I understand it is when you buy precious metals and sell precious metals, it's not taxable in some jurisdictions. I don't think converting PAX, if you convert it or if you take delivery, you still own the gold. Now,
okay, perfect. So
would the taxing authority say, you went from one asset to another, like you sold PAX and bought physical at that point? I don't know. I think that's up to accountants, right? But if you can go from crypto to physical, let's put it this way. That's interesting. I think the bigger point is maybe, look at what they did here. Like they did this huge ABC correction. They were like, okay, it's down. All right, I'm buying the dip. Okay, it's going to make a new high. Oh no, it's not. Boom. Right now, this is a 4-hour chart. This is your classic type of correction. You see anything like this in crypto, particularly in the big cryptos over like the next 10 days, then you got to get involved. You got to get involved. It's not investment advice, but when you see stuff like this, millions of Americans earning 100K are living paycheck to paycheck. And this is the New York Post. Okay. When you see stuff like this, the Fed is done tightening. And even if rates go higher, right, they're done. Okay.
Yep, the money printing machine is coming back on. It's just a matter of time. And who was it that I heard him mention this? I think it might have been Ben. I think it might have been Ben earlier this morning. I heard him mentioning on his channel that he was talking about the next cycle of elections, right? That's coming up this year, 2023. People are going to start promoting themselves like, hey, I'm running for president. Hey, I'm running for president, right? And what happens when the next cycle comes along for the president, right? When 2024, when we vote in the next president, you want the stock market to rally with strength into that election cycle, to have people, go out there and really vote. Because if the market is down, things are down, people are probably not going to be voting as much. So that's going to be something that I believe they're setting themselves up for. And the way they're going to do that is by turning the money printing machine back on and re-stimulate the stock market and the economy by printing money, because that's the only thing they can do. Keeper and I have talked about this a lot of times about, are they going to keep tightening? Are they going to keep doing this? There's going to be a disaster for the economy. I think that the landing has happened. I think we bottomed out, and I think they understand that, hey, we got to start printing money again. It's just part of their cycle. It's part of their thing, the doom and gloom, right? Then in the next 2-3 years after that, they'll be like, well, things are getting bad again. And then, we go back into the bear market. So I agree with you. I think money printing machine is coming back on this year, and 2024 is, just happens to be the beginning of the next Bitcoin halving cycle.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at, I didn't even notice, when you look at the presidential cycle, from October of the second year to April of the third year. So we're now in the third year of the current president's term, halfway there, right?
Yep. But who's counting?
Between October, but who's counting, right? Between October of the second year and April of the third, right? That's where you get most of the bullish returns for a president's term. So we're actually in sort of a stupid bullish period, which is why I'm like, grab what you can on the dip. And if the Fed is done being hyper aggressive, which they have to be, there are a lot of things that you just said that, it's not in anyone's interest to have this thing tank.
Yeah, and Magic Internet Money also brought this up in a conversation the other day, is that they're changing up the people that vote with Jerome Powell on hawkish versus dovish stances. And I think they're bringing in, according to him, he was mentioning to me that they're bringing in a lot more dovish people. So a lot more people that were willing to stop tightening and stop raising interest rates a while ago. And now they're replacing these hawkish people. And that's going to drive as well this narrative of like the next interest rate hike is either going to be once again like 0.25 or possibly even a pause, right? And then having that for the rest of the year, that's going to be very bullish. If they do announce that they paused, that's going to be extremely bullish. And then leading into that, if things continue that same way, then 2024 could be where before the next actual event of president election, they will start announcing maybe even small cuts and start reducing again. And that would be extremely bullish for, the election cycle, all the stock market rallying, right? All these things. And there you go. Next 4-year cycle. Bitcoin has the Bitcoin halving in 2024 around April to May time. And, that begins everything. So that later 2024, 2025, the next president comes in and bullish. Everything's bullish on the way up. It's almost like everything is perfectly timing itself. Was it made to be that way, or is it just coincidence? I don't know. But everything seems like everything is coming together all at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, nothing stops the Fed from raising rates 25 basis points, which really means nothing, and also printing underneath the table to make sure that whatever rate increases they did don't create a blow up. And of course, when it comes to cutting rates, you can never discount the possibility of a geopolitical blow up, particularly when you're in like the equities crash zone in the fall, right? You can't. This is why one of the reasons in crypto, and the charts that we went over, like the graph, render, and we're pounding the table on ApeCoin. We're even talking about XRP and stuff like that. You got to make money while you can, right? When the trend is your friend, and any trend is your friend, particularly, in a retail long only business like crypto, short selling and gunfighting stuff. Okay. That's great. But the Joe public that you want to have crypto to save yourself from the fiat follies, while it's going up, don't fall asleep on the market.
Dude, 100%. I mean, I think this year overall is going to be very, very interesting. I'm extremely bullish this year. I mean, but At the end of the day, I never stopped being bullish. I understood that we were in a bear market. I understood things were going to be going down. Prices were going to go lower. But long term, if you're bullish on crypto, if you understand what is happening with Bitcoin, with Ethereum, with the top 10 or so coins, right, that drags along all the other altcoins, it's only a matter of time. If you're paying attention to the metaverse, you're paying attention to AI, you're paying attention to privacy, you're paying attention to all these things, it's only a matter of time before we come back up. If you're paying attention to the 4-year cycles, it is not your first time around, and you've heard this term before. Understand what the 4-year cycles are. Understand what is happening here fundamentally with crypto. There's no way that you can be bearish in the crypto market. No other asset in the entire world moves and makes the returns that the crypto assets do, and just in a small 4-year cycle. Easy to understand, easy to view, right? We only get caught up on the tail end or at the very top of the things, right? When Bitcoin is exploding, right, 69,000, we all thought we were going to hit 100, hit 150, right? People start getting extremely bullish. Then people get caught up in that sentiment. And then those people take a very long time before they can pivot into like, hey, cycle's over. We're on the way down now. And the same thing on the tail end, right? When we were coming down 15, 16, everybody was like 10, 9, 8. Like, we're going to go down to 5K Bitcoin. We're going to have a massive drop. Everybody get ready. You're going to see like $100 Ethereum again. And it's like, well, maybe, but that's kind of like the equivalent of what we did up here. And people were like, I don't think so. I think there's a lot more things happening here that are going to push us this way. That's exactly how when we thought when we were at the top, like, look at all the things that are happening right now. There's no way that Bitcoin's not going to hit 100K. And then we get caught up in these different end cases, and it's hard for people to shift back, right? The people that were thinking about way lower prices, it's been very difficult for them to say, hey, yeah, I was wrong. Maybe things are happening. Some of them have, for sure. But a lot of them just stay very bearish until they completely miss the bottom, and then, they're like, okay, I was completely wrong. But that, you don't want to be that guy. You don't want to be that person that is the last person to realize, like, oh, snap, I was wrong. Like, we aren't going back lower. This is going up now. You want to enjoy the ride up. You don't want to enjoy the extreme end, right? It's about the journey, not the destination. People get caught up on the destination and not riding that journey to, that's where the money-making process is made. Money isn't made when you're pretty much going sideways. Money is made on the journey up or on the journey down, not when you actually get to that price point. And people just can't change that type of mindset. They struggle.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, the same people and possibly the same mentality that was screaming for 100K or more in 2021 were the same people who were cheering for the end of Binance and for the entire ecosystem to get nuked and never come back. Right.
Exactly.
I mean, a couple of hedge funds, Novogratz from Galaxy Digital was like, hey guys, if they take down CZ, they could take down the whole space. And it felt like crypto Twitter was cheering for that. And that's how you knew it was a lull. Right.
Yep.
And then
everybody was like, we're going to go lower. We're going to go lower. CZ, Binance is insolvent. They're going to go, they're going to go kaput. Right. And it's like, no.
I mean, the narrative should have been, hey, what about building stuff on Ethereum? Does anybody remember Ethereum? No one was talking about that, and people should be talking about it now.
When people stop fearing lower prices and they start cheering for lower pricing, that's how you know you're starting to hit the bottom, because people are like, all right, I'm okay being here lower, right? And I understand that most of us people that are content creators that have been here for a long time, we always cheer for lower prices, but when the average person is no longer afraid of going lower and they're saying, yeah, let's go lower. Yeah, let's hope that Binance goes bankrupt so they can crush the market. That's the bottom signal of like, hey, these people are no longer lower prices. It's time to start moving up the other direction to start making money, because then the whole disbelief begins. It's like, there's no way. There's no reason for us to be pumping right now. There's no reason that we can sustain these prices. What are you talking about? The first time we hit 23,000, everybody was super bullish. Now we hit 23,000, everybody's super bearish. Like, there's no reason Bitcoin should be worth $23,000. Of course there is. The macro and the foundational things that have been happening with Bitcoin have not changed. It's just the sentiment of people's minds have changed.
Right. And when people say I want it to go down so I can buy, that never happens. And then when the Celsius news came out, right? And they were telling you everything was all right when it wasn't, right? They were like, oh, gee, well, I guess I needed to go up so I can get out. And that doesn't happen either. Like
Exactly.
my father was a stockbroker in a cube. Like he had a cube and a telephone, and he would watch the tape, as they would call it, go by on a screen, on a scrolling tape or a scrolling viewpoint. And he used to say, when people come in and go, where should I sell? It's the bottom. And when people come home and when they see it go up and they go, oh God, where do I get in? That's the top, right? I don't think people are asking, hey, where do I get in? A lot of people are saying that this is a sucker's rally. Now, look, you have to respect the other people's viewpoint. I don't want to be like, I want to be aggressive, but not disrespectful, right? I think it's better to say, hey, if there's a dip, how can I get involved? Because you know what, folks, at the grander scheme of things, you would feel like an idiot if Bitcoin went to 50K and you declined to buy at 23. You got to ask yourself, can you live with that? Versus if you buy at 23 and you put in a stop at 21,500, if you get stopped out, all right, well, you're only committing 2% or 3% of your capital for a trade. In other words, if you can buy a dip and make money, it's a bull market. If you can prove it to yourself, you don't have to guess. We'd love it if you listen to Debate Crypto. Come on, check out the charts. Listen to Keep and Crusader, right? But ultimately, you got to prove it to yourself.
Yeah, man. People don't understand that. People get discouraged in crypto because they don't make enough money. But if you look at traditional finance, most people make no money in stocks. Most people spend their entire lives investing into their 401ks, into their IRAs, or whatever it is, for a small percent gain throughout their entire life. So you spend 40, 50 years, your entire career, since you turn 18, if you're smart, right? You start throwing money at this thing, start throwing money at. How many cycles do you ride throughout that entire lifetime, right? How many times did it go up? How many times did it go down? Is there nothing you could do about it? Your money is locked up in there. And at the end, okay, yeah, wow, maybe you retire with $1 million portfolio, right? At the end of it all, with all the, the interest rates and the exponential growth and all this stuff. And now imagine if you did that again, but in crypto, right? Imagine if you had that same mindset in crypto. I'm just going to dollar cost average, put in a little bit of money here, put a little bit of money there, and build up my portfolio over time in a small amount of 4 years throughout one entire cycle. If you did cash out, you probably made some decent amount of money already just with top 10 cryptos, not even like the super risky altcoins that are even lower, right? That could make you tons of more money. So the fact that people get so discouraged so quickly when they come into crypto, I didn't get rich. Like my dad is one of those people. My dad has been putting money into his 401k his entire career, right? He's made a little bit of money on it. And then, I've been telling him about crypto for years. Finally gets in last cycle, rode it all the way to the top. We didn't cash out, right? And then we rode it back down, but he's still in a positive. He got in so low that he's still at a positive. And he's like, oh, this thing sucks. I'm not going to be rich anytime soon. And it's like, you've made more money or possibly the same as much as you did in your 401k in 2 years. You made as much as you did in your 401k that you've been doing your entire life. Like, how can you be discouraged at this moment? You should be saying, how do I get more? What am I missing here that I haven't added to my portfolio? And it just shows the average mentality out there is people are too short-sighted and they give up too quickly.
Right. And it's so easy to succumb to the Facebook mentality where you're scrolling through everyone else's vacation pictures and you go, wow, my life sucks. Well, first of all, your life may not suck. Second of all, the person on the vacation pictures, their life might suck. They just have a good vacation picture. You don't know.
It's all fugazi, right? People live a second fake life on social media, and then in real life, they have terrible things going on every day.
Right. So, saying, oh, I'm in crypto and I haven't done X or made X. Listen, you got to play the game. I was in crypto since 2018. Right. I entered crypto and it basically crashed the second I walked through the door. Right. And I had to endure some hardship to stay in the game. And even with that, it took a period of years before I found like a small cap play that I liked, okay, that I understood. Like understanding what's good in crypto, like now everyone seems to get DeFi, but back in 2020, people were like, DeFi? What's that?
Nobody knew DeFi. I heard about it for the first time, and I was like, "What is that?" Right? Because I got into crypto around the same time, 2018. I got in October of 2017 was when I made my first purchase in crypto. And it gave me some time to ride up the altcoin season, right? Bitcoin all the way up to 20,000, all these things to get really excited, right? And then right in January, bam, get hit by a truck, right? And rode the whole thing down. But nobody knew what DeFi was. I heard about DeFi in 2020. And I was like, what the hell is that? That sounds like Fugazi to me. I'm not getting involved. And I missed out.
Yeah, Uniswap, what's that? Right. Well, everybody has missed out on something in crypto because it's fast moving, right?
Yep,
because it's so fast moving, there's always another opportunity, which is why we go through Render, ApeCoin, right? Graph. We go through this stuff so we can give you guys something to work with. Okay, so you don't miss out, because crypto is a weird game. You have to learn the tech, which can be hard for some people. And you also have to learn the macro and investing narrative, which is hard for other people. So it's like playing a sport. I mean, you can't just, I know there are stories like, oh, I walked in, I pressed the green button, and a Lambo pulled up at my door the next day. That's what everyone wants, and that happens. That's what happens sometimes.
Yeah, those are exceptions, but they're not the rule.
Right. And newspapers in Vegas want you to see those people.
Yep, exactly, right?
But everybody else gets depressed. And no, don't fall for the trick that you're not good enough or that you missed it. I got this, this cheesy saying on my show: you're not too late, you're not too early, you're right on time. If you say that to yourself and you believe it enough, then you can actually do whatever you need to do, and you need to do your homework and, listen to some smart people. But at the end of the day, man, it'll be you out there who can get it done.
Dude, 100%. We got a great question by a guy named Great Guy. How to keep ledger funds safe? Well, make sure you put your stuff on a hardware wallet. Make sure that you are not connecting that ledger to absolutely everything that you find, right? One thing that I do is I have a dedicated laptop that is used for my crypto hardware wallet. And I don't use that laptop for anything except transferring and connecting my Ledger wallet to it. So that way that I make sure that it has the least amount of contaminants to the web and to the other things that I could be, right? I'm not downloading anything on that computer. I'm not connecting to any weird websites. I'm not connecting my hardware wallet to any of my MetaMasks. I'm not doing anything sketchy. I'm not connecting to any website out there that says connect wallet and then connecting my Ledger. I'm not doing any of that. It's just straight on that laptop. Keep that laptop as isolated as possible. Transfer funds in, transfer funds out, close it, shut it off, and let it go. Protect your hardware wallet, right? You can protect your actual physical hardware wallet by keeping it in a fairy cage. You can also you have to protect your keys, right? Whether you put that on a piece of metal that is fireproof, right? All these things, so you make sure it doesn't burn down in a fire or whatever, or it gets some water on it and then the paper breaks. There's definitely many ways, but hardware wallets is the way to go to keep your crypto safe overall. So, yeah, Bill,
the best way, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I mean, just, step one is know where your seed phrase is.
Yeah.
Don't lose it. I know that sounds stupid. I know people that had Cardano and CryptoPunks and stuff for 2017. And when Cardano went to $3, they couldn't find their Cardano.
Oh my God, dude, that's terrible.
They couldn't find it. So, everything you said, and don't lose it.
Yeah, don't lose it. Exactly. Do not lose it. Well, Bill, it's been a great conversation on here. I hope you guys have learned something. If you haven't been following Bill, make sure you follow him. His channel is down below. All his links are down there. His Twitter, his YouTube, everything. Make sure you go follow him. Guys, he comes on here every Monday, even Thursdays as well, to bring you great, amazing TA and information that you might not hear anywhere else. So make sure you go support him. Make sure you smash the likes on the way out. And like always, question everything, trust nothing. And until next time, hodl like it's hot. See you guys.